In this video, we are going to be talking about what's going on in the markets. Crypto is pumping once again. Is this going to be the return of the bull market, or is this going to be a trap? We're also going to be covering the latest NFT news and projects you gotta watch out for. And before we get started, if you've been enjoying these videos, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the crypto markets. And if you've been following what's going on CoinMarketCap, everything is looking green, surprisingly, right? It's Bitcoin almost at 2.2K, Ethereum at 1.25, which is pretty crazy actually. So for a lot of projects, especially the newer projects, let's say like BF Party or a few, which are, projects I support, and they're some of my friends, it's great for them, right? Because it's like when crypto is pumping, people become more confident in NFTs, the price of Ethereum increases, more funds are raised. Overall, a little bit bullish for projects that are minting within this month. With that said, it doesn't mean everybody's suddenly gonna get interested in Ethereum again and everyone's gonna start buying crypto again, because sometimes some people think it's a trap where, yeah, people buy crypto right now, maybe, they're trying to liquidate any people who are trying to short Ethereum, and then from there it might just totally come crashing down, which is actually a real possibility that, a lot of people who are smarter than me, that's kind of like what they tell me, but not financial advice, of course. Now, if we are looking at the S&P 500, I think it did went up like 1 or 2% over the past 24 hours, so there definitely is a rally. So we've seen that for crypto, it is somewhat correlated to the stock market, where when the stock market crashes, crypto crashes even harder, NFTs crashes even harder, and it seems like when the stock market goes up a little bit, there is a little pump within crypto as well. So that whole theory or hypothesis that crypto was kind of like a hedge against, what's going on in the markets actually turned out not to be true at all, where they're actually pretty correlated to each other, and crypto is almost even like a multiplier of whatever happens in the stock market so far. Now, when we are looking at the volume OpenSea, which is very important to look at because volume is where things need to have volume in order for you to make money, the crypto volume when it comes to like monthly volume is pretty down, right? Pretty down bad. So we've seen in, let's say, May, that was actually a pretty good month for crypto, and then in June, significant drop, and then even for July, it's also dropping even further, right? So if we see like the daily volume over since July to now, yeah, it's been going down pretty bad. So it's quite interesting that yes, a lot of people are leaving crypto, right? We've seen like different discords. If you're in discords, the only people left are the core community members, and then everyone who is just like a hobbyist or they're just trying to gamble and throw money in. A lot of them actually are completely gone because they didn't want to play this game because they lost a lot of money. And we also seen that the OpenSea monthly active traders are starting to go down as well. Now, in my personal opinion, yes, the volume is down. Yes, there are less people in the space, and yes, there are more people leaving the space every single day. However, my personal take is that crypto still has a very bright future when we're looking in the long term. A lot of companies are going into the space. A lot of companies are investing hundreds of millions of dollars to build in the space during this bear market because they want to catch the next bull market, which my personal opinion is kind of inevitable. We don't know when it will happen, whether it's 1, 2, 3 years from now, but then I'm pretty confident that, more people will become interested in crypto technology in the future. Now, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about like, trying to make some money in the crypto space, yes, there's opportunities to like degen, there's like free mints, there's ways to swing trade, and everybody has their own strategy of like what works for them. But personally, what I found is that building is probably one of the best things you can do in this space, whether it's building your own project, helping other companies build in this space, or maybe it's helping a Web2 business use their funds and then build in the space as well, because a lot of people are actually building during this time because they know that when the bull market comes, they want to be in the right position to capture that momentum. And that's something I'm really trying to promote within the Parallax community. Obviously, we have a Discord where you can join for free, and we also have a Parallax Genesis NFT if you don't already have one. But those are some of the topics that we're going to discuss, and what my plans for the future for our particular project is to help people in some ways make it within the space, right? And obviously it's going to be a 7/7 supply, so it's not going to be for everybody, but it's for people that want to build in the space, want to learn about the space, get educated, because that's what we are all about. So if you want to check it out, check out our Discord, check out our OpenSea link are in the descriptions. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Patrick Dang if you want to see the latest alpha or things that I'm just talking about. All right, so the next piece of news that we have to cover for today is going to be the Otherside teaser. So recently they came out with a teaser where they are stress testing the technology they're using for Otherside. Now, Otherside didn't invent this technology, they didn't create it. They actually are partnering with another studio. I forgot exactly what the studio's name was, but they've done like these kind of things in the past. They're kind of using the technology and then putting the Otherside skin and the Bored Ape skins on top of that for people to use. So far, based on just the initial test, there's a lot of people who joined that they can all do like voice chat at the same same time. It is quite impressive that they have so many people here in the same place live and everyone's like walking around and stuff. Kind of looking at this picture, it's only really loading the people that are close to you, right? The people who are further, you can see their shadow, but obviously you can't see all the detail based on this demo because it's going to take a lot of data and energy for your computer. But still, kind of bullish in that, you know, the technology works and that maybe they can create like an interesting experience. Now the question is, yes, they got the technology to bring people in the same room, but what kind of experiences are they going to create where people would actually want to play? And for Otherside, and in some indirect way, the price of Bored Ape is heavily dependent on how successful this metaverse game is. And so far, you know, based on the NFT history, we haven't really seen any metaverse really pop off, right? We've seen Decentraland, which is for the most part pretty empty. We've seen Sandbox, which for the most part is pretty empty as well, and not many people are playing the games. Even Artifact Studios created like a sandbox game and no one's really talking about it, which is not very good. And then we have Otherside, which has yet to be created, right? These metaverse plays, my guess, will take many more years than people actually realize, because I think there's just not enough people who want to play in these metaverse games that are also interested in crypto. And the people who are buying sandbox lands and Decentraland lands, they're really more speculators for the most part. Some people want to do something with it, but I think the majority of people are like, Snoop Dogg bought this land here, so I'm going to buy my piece of land next to his. I don't plan on building anything, but one day I'm going to sell it for triple the price. And I think that's kind of the game that people are playing. I'm still pretty bullish on the idea of like people hanging out in the metaverse in a sense, but I feel that it's going to be a long time coming. So if you were to invest in like these kind of projects, and just understand that you have to wait a long time, and if you're okay with waiting, cool. Realistically, you're gonna have to wait years before you actually use your land, right? But if you want to buy it and, you know, sell it during rumors and news when everything's pumping, that's also an opportunity too. But I just want to be clear with you of like what you're actually getting into. Now, in other news, Takashi Murakami recently had a tweet the other day where on July 10th, 2020, 11:59 GMT, they're going to take a snapshot of the Murakami Flowers. Now, this is quite cryptic, where people don't really know what to expect for this snapshot. Are they going to airdrop another NFT? Are they going to give you something? Are you going to get access to something? It's pretty unclear what it is. A lot of people probably want to buy a Murakami flower because they want to hit this timing for the airdrop. Now, it's quite interesting because if you think about how crypto works, every time somebody buys and sells an NFT, the project owner is going to get a royalty from that, right? So actually, although it's not the best for this space because it doesn't set the best expectations, when brands or project founders decide to be very cryptic in their news of what's coming, it actually propels people to buy without knowing what they buy, right? Is good in terms of pumping up a price, but it's not very good with setting expectations. And the issue with that is a lot of times people get upset when they purchase an NFT because they're like, oh, I expected you to do this, this, and this, and this, and that's why I bought it, because I want the price to go up. But when people are very cryptic like Murakami is, and to an extent other projects do that as well, you know, I don't need to name names, but pretty much everyone does that. It just drives a lot of FOMO and hype, and actually that's good for the project in terms of royalties, but kind of bad when expectations don't match reality. And we've seen projects in the past, they do this where they're collecting royalties and not really caring, and then people are disappointed and they're like, oh my God, these guys are a scam. And then the project founders will be like, you know, this is not a scam. We never said we would do this and that. And then it's just like miscommunication of expectations, right? I have mixed feelings about this. Yes, it drives hype and it gets more volume in and gets more people interested. Like, I'm talking about it now because it's very cryptic, right? But at the same time, if it's not as good as people think, then it actually can create a lot more problems, right? And I think for some brands, they might even choose to, like, for example, the Parallax, for example, I'm pretty clear on like what it is and who it's for and who it's not for. There's no like crazy FOMO or hype, but then you can get this nice consistent build and build the right community, right? So there's different ways to approach it. Everyone has their own strategy, but it's just my 2 cents. All right, now in other news, recently Ryan Carson, who is one of the co-founders but doesn't work at Moonbirds anymore, he swept Moonbirds, spent 789K, and then that actually pumped the price of Moonbirds quite a bit. So if we're looking at the Moonbirds price, it's going to be like pretty much 26 ETH, which is pretty expensive. And obviously there's been quite a bit of activity over the past few days when he did the sweep, right? Of course, when somebody sweeps, more people FOMO in because it's like, why is it sweeping? Why is everyone buying it, right? Here's an interesting analysis that I want to like share with you guys. I think the first thing is like, you have to understand the power of funds and VCs. So it's not as if one individual purchases all these Moonbirds. It's that his VC, which is called 121G, purchased it, right? So basically you raise funds from your friends, family, you know, retail investors and stuff like that, put it together, and then they're basically going out and buying NFTs. Now, this is important because, you know, like I've been saying a lot on this channel, a lot of the reasons for why projects tend to pump is because groups or individuals like whales with a lot of money, they decide to sweep, and then the floor like increases quite dramatically. And the thing you have to really pay attention to is that even if you're like a retail investor and you're an outsider and maybe you don't know people who are in like VCs like this, right? You don't have to know them personally. It's actually all the clues are kind of right in front of us, right? So when we're going on the 121G NFT.fund, the company website, which is pretty basic. You just really have to look at their pillars, right? So like, okay, for example, our 3-pillar strategy. Pillar 1, high quality new projects led by vetted teams. Okay, fair enough, right? So they find a new project, the team is stacked, they're going to invest in them. Great. Pillar number 2, one of ones. So like one of one art, for example, right? And then pillar 3, proof. We will be investing into the proof ecosystem by acquiring proof passes and Moonbirds and more. So it's like they're telling you that there's only 3 pillars of this fund. There's only 3 things they're investing in. And pillar 3 is literally just one company, proof and Moonbirds. If they haven't already purchased Moonbirds by the time they put this information out, then you can probably make an educated guess that one day when the price is right, they're gonna buy a bunch of Moonbirds, they're gonna buy a bunch of moon passes, and then the floor pumps, right? So it's not like secret insider information. Like this website and this information was out for like quite some time. And then even Ryan Carson, he even told everyone like, oh, I gotta sell my personal Moonbirds that I own because there's a conflict of interest with the fund. And then probably we're gonna buy some more Moonbirds, right? So it's like, all this stuff is actually quite right in front of us if you're actually paying attention, right? I think another example, let's say like the Azuki Spirit DAO. Now, although this is not like a VC fund, but it's a group of people who decided to create a decentralized organization. And I actually did meet some people who were part of the Spirit DAO as well when I was at the Azuki event at NFT NYC. And then they purchased like really rare Azukis, and they're pooling money together to buy these like crazy, you know, Spirit Azukis. And like, I'm sure they have like different strategies of like which Azukis they buy, but they're spending a lot of money on Azukis, right? So if you like listen to, let's say their Azuki Spirit DAO AMA, for example, to see like their strategy of like what they're thinking about, right? A lot of times people will tell you what they're gonna do before they do it, because they also want to let other people know, because the more people they know, the more people believe in their thesis, and the more people also agree with them, and the more people want to buy, and then the floor prices all increase because everyone pushes their money in the same direction. And then you have to also understand that when these large organizations, whether it's Spirit DAO, whether it's a big fund, or whether it's a VC or whatever, right? The more people they can get to believe in their thesis, especially when it comes to like NFTs, which is all belief, the more successful they are likely to be, because if more people believe, more people will buy, and more people will believe that the price is justified when it becomes like 20, 30 ETH, right? If you have enough people believing that the price should be worth that, then the price is worth that, because there's always going to be another person who's willing to buy it for that high price, right? Even for me, right? Like I'm into NFTs, but I'm studying a lot more about like how art works and like where value comes from. And then one book that I recently picked up is called the $12 Million Stuffed Shark, The Curious Economics of Contemporary Art, which kind of explains like why is contemporary art like so expensive? How can they command these high prices, especially when an artist is like brand new and they're just coming out of a gallery? You know, those fundamentals of like how fine art works directly applies to NFTs, especially for NFTs that are not necessarily utility based, but more community based and like status based, and you know, things like that. Pretty much the same fundamentals, honestly. So for me, when I look at a project now, and especially the ones that are like blue chip and high prices, the thing I look at is whoever is running this project or people that promote this project in a direct or indirect way, how far can they push it to make other people believe that the price is worth that? Because at the end of the day, these things are so subjective. So for example, let's say like Azuki, right? So Azuki number 0000 is going to be this girl with the water hair, right? So people can speculate of saying like, oh, like the water hair is super rare, and if it's going to be 0000, what if they use it in a movie and things like that, right? And so now it creates all this speculative value. If there's enough people with a lot of money that believe that the water hair is going to be worth it, then suddenly it becomes worth it, right? And I think it's pretty expensive for it to buy Azuki water hair. And so it's like, how is that even priced? Like, it's all speculative. There's no movie that's out. There's no like official news that's going on. It's just what people believe. And so that's something that I'm really keeping in mind when it comes to buying NFTs and trying to understand the value, because the prices get crazy, right? But as long as somebody believes, then it's real. And so with that said, that's everything we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments if you enjoy these kind of analysis where it's not just, you know, reporting news, but giving you a little bit of a deeper insight, different perspectives and opinions to get you to think a little bit more, right? Because I'm not someone that just wants to give you the fish. I want to give you a fishing rod so that you can fish yourself. And so these are just the thoughts that I'm having as I look at what's going on in the NFT market. So let me know if that's something more you want to see. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.